Hi, welcome back to Zack of All Trades. I'm Zack, and tonight I have a fairly small project. I'm going to be fixing this poor, sad, cracked tape measure and putting it back into useful service. Before we get too awful far into this, let me first acknowledge this. This little tape measure is not a high-dollar item. It's not going to break the bank. In fact, it retails for $11.99 at Ace Hardware. But do you really want to spend $11.99 on a tape measure that you don't have to replace? Just think of all the other things you could buy for $11.99. You could buy a pound of cross-rib steak. You could buy a dozen golf balls. You could even buy a pair of Heat Holders thermal socks for whichever one of your kids is your favorite. There's lots of other stuff that I would prefer to spend that $11.99 on. So let's get to fixing this thing. Now, it's pretty clear that this is not the first time I've attempted to fix this tape measure. It got a crack. I thought that possibly I could silver solder it, so I heated it up and I hit it with the silver solder, and lo and behold, it didn't do anything except for burn the tape measure, which created then eventually this little hitch in the giddy up here. So if you let it go all the way back into the housing, man, it's a real pain to get out. Now let me also say that this is just for hobby stuff, right? This is the tape measure that lives in my truck. If you're making a living with your tape measure, yeah, you pay for your tools. The tools of your trade are the things that are worth spending the money on if you need to. But like I said, for the little spare tape measure, this is going to be perfectly acceptable. During my time in the Navy, in the aviation maintenance department, I was occasionally forced to spend long periods of time around airframers, metalsmiths. And those guys, let me tell you, those guys were some stop drilling fools. So, that's what you do when you have a crack in metal. You stop drill it, which stops the progress of the crack. The aim here is going to be to drill the hole just at the end of the crack. There. I think that was successful. So now the forces exercised by that crack have been preempted by the hole. Now there's no crack propagating. That's the first step. The next step doesn't necessarily need to be this precise, but I'm going to do it anyway because, well, I'm going to do something, do it well, right? So I'm using this socket just as a guide. I'm going to scribe the circumference of this socket. So I now have a somewhat defined mark around the bad part of the tape. Now I'm going to take my super duper cut a penny in half scissors and I'm going to gently trim away the dead flesh here, so to speak. Let me see if I can do it without trimming away any live flesh. That'd be cool. Maybe even a little more. Get a little closer to that line. And now with this cylindrical grinding bit, I'll go ahead and clean it up the rest of the way. There we go. Now there's no more cracking going on. I've got nice rounded edges. Nothing to catch on. Should be good as gold. Oh no, what? Alright, well, there's still something that's hanging up on in there. So that I don't leave you unsatisfied here, let's get to the bottom of it. I don't know if you can see down there or not, but I think that I can see what's going on. And I think I know how to fix it. Oh man, this is dangerous territory here. I wouldn't fault you if you quit right here. I hope this thing doesn't go boing on me. It's been my experience that the key to spring-loaded things is to go nice and slow. Oh man. I guess maybe that middle one needs to come out. Now will you come up, Art? There we go. Okay, so I've got these 4 little ridges here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's catching on one of those. Alright, plan W. I just happen to have this homemade screwdriver chisel. It's just right for shaving off a little piece of plastic in there. Some of you guys that have been around for a while or have viewed some of the old catalog know that I sometimes don't have the best luck with chisels. So you might understand why I'm so hesitant to get loose with a chisel. Alright, there we go. I think we've done it. Now if I can get this thingamajig back where it belongs. My tape measure can retain its title as power lock. It's the moment of truth, folks. So during a little bit of off-camera head scratching, I figured out what those little ribs were that I trimmed off underneath here. They're the stationary side of the pressure application part of the lock. I was a little bit worried, was my lock still going to work? But look at that. Works just perfectly. Good as new. Well, not quite as good as new, but I'll tell you what, it's as close to as good as new as I need it to be. So now if this was your tape measure, you could do something really cool, like take your sweetheart out for an ice cream cone or something. That's what I think I'll do. Hey, I really appreciate you watching. I hope that this entertained you, if nothing else, and maybe, somebody probably out there has a cracked one of these guys. So, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time. We'll see you again real soon. Take care.